Welcome to another episode of NerdN OUT. I'm alone tonight. Motherfucker Jones could not be in the building. We're coming at you. What time? How do I fix that? Do I need to wear like makeup or something so my shiny nose doesn't? Yeah, the green screen pop, but I'm not green. Is it because I'm so pale? Oh, that's cool. Oh, but look, I'm that pale sometimes. But anyways, I'll figure that out too. But welcome to another episode of NerdN OUT, where no means no unless you're listening to Nerding Out. That's just rude. I'm not It is catchy though. That's not very much fun, I don't think. So when I'm on my own, that's the Fat Keenan song. I don't know if you can tell it's a play on Fat Albert. There's a little Bill Cosby in there, and it's all original. And you know, I hate that when my face gets all spotty. But what do y'all think of the green screen on the cap? Kind of dope. I don't even, like it's boom there. And so I'm missing my friend, motherfucker Jones. He started a new job. He had to work late, and in Texas we got this beautiful thing called the State Fair. And you might think you have a state fair, but nah, we got a state fair. So we're gonna change it up a little bit tonight because I do want to talk about the stuff that we're gonna talk about with that motherfucker Jones, Fast Money. But so we're just gonna do an R.I.P. Norm Mcdonald tonight because I wanted to do something to honor one of the goats. There's got to be a different word, greatest of all time, like one of the greatest of all time, like goat. I don't know. Kids got to come up with a new word for it. But he is one of the legends of comedy, and I figured tonight we're just gonna listen to people remembering him, some of his greatest moments. Uh, and if you don't like it, get over it, cause we're just figuring it out. We're just figuring it out all the time, and all this stuff is we're just getting it straight off of YouTube. And in fact, you know what? We're gonna start one of my favorite people, and I'm introduced to this man because of Norm Macdonald. I saw him on Mad TV. His history doesn't matter, but his name is Artie Lange, and this is I had a dab. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm sorry, but sheesh. Ooh, Team Coco podcast. I've heard Conan's podcast real good, and I got some of his stuff that we could check out. But where is should I listen to it and then I didn't save it? So y'all are gonna have to sit here and stare at me. Hold on. No, not browse. Library. No, not library. Oh, hold on, my bad. Library. Continue. Boom. Downloaded. Is that? Yes, here it is. Boom. I figured it out. Now remember, when you're watching Nerding Out, it's just me. Even if it's me and Fast Money. I'm basically a grandfather. Or I am a grandfather, but when you watch my show, picture your granddad. Like, damn, I'm pretty impressed my granddad could even get this much done. Because then I'm not that bad. But here we go. We're going to Artie Lang, Norm Macdonald, one of his good buddies. Lately they haven't been really speaking, but what you gonna do?
Hey, it's Artie Lange, Artie Lange's Halfway House, and I
take no
just wanted
credit for
to
anything.
take an opportunity to talk about my good buddy Norm Mcdonald. Uh, just a comic genius, a guy that was so important to me in my career, and everything after Mad TV in my career and life, I owe to Norm Mcdonald really. Uh, the way I met Norm was at a screen test for a movie called Dirty Work. The story is I had just left Mad TV because I got arrested for possession of coke. I was looking for work. And my manager at the time, Peter, told me about this project Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald, and I was always a big fan of Norm's. I never met him, but I was a big fan of his. So they sent me out to California to read with him, kind of like a screen test after I read on camera in New York. I did well enough to where I got to the screen test part, and that's where I met Norm, Bob Saget, and Saget who directed it.
We heard from
And
Bob Saget in a
I
few.
read with
He
Norm.
he
And the
cries.
next day, Norm and Saget called me personally and said, you got the part. Even after they knew that I had just been arrested for possession of cocaine and they knew that I had a problem with substances. And we went out after the audition and I tried to buy Coke from two guys because I was drunk. They noticed that. And still, when I woke up, I said, oh, God, I'm not going to get the part. And then Norm called up and said, nah, man, all good. We love you. Just
Saint
come
Norm.
on down and we'll go to Toronto and make this movie. And that's where we went to Toronto to make the film. And then one Saturday afternoon when the film wasn't filmed, when we weren't filming, we had to move to Toronto for 2 months. Norm said, "Hey man, let's go out and get a bite to eat." And we just walked around Toronto in the autumn air. It was beautiful air. And we just talked and we got to be good friends. Turns out we had a lot of the same vices. We were both gamblers. We both like shooting the game of pool. We never really parted ways after the film got finished. We stayed in touch. We both, like I say, loved gambling, so we started gambling on the football games that fall. One bet we discovered with the basketball was something called a lightning bet, and
Sick
this
bet.
was
But
where you would
you
take
gotta
the
have the
under, say the
money.
under over in a game, which in a basketball game is the total amount of points scored, or a football game and you say, well, the total amount of points scored between both teams is going to be, like in basketball, could be 130. Okay, I'll take the over for such amount of money. And if it goes over 130, you win. What a lightning bet was if you went over 130, every point you go over, you win or lose money based on what you bet. Like if you lightning betted $200 a point on the over, every time someone scored after 130 points, he won basically $400. And every point that they went under, you lost that money. So Norm and I both lightning betted the over in the lowest scoring game in basketball history. Yeah, it was in NBA Finals history. I think it was the lowest scoring game. And the Bulls were playing the Utah Jazz, and the Bulls just clamped down on the Jazz defensive wise. I think the Jazz had 45 points in the whole game.
You guys were together in the same room while this was going on?
Yeah, we're watching it. We got to go on stage. We got to go on stage right afterwards. And yeah, it was one of those 6 o'clock games, and we had to figure out how to just live life after losing so much money. I did 200 a point. Norm did $1,000 a point. So, and the next day it sucked because everywhere you looked, it would say lowest score ever. And we had that was a reminder constantly. If you look at the headline in a newspaper, lowest scoring game ever. But Norm was a great guy. Norm was fearless on stage, and he was a great guy to just go out with and talk about show business. Again, it's hard to believe that the guy's gone. Well, he's an original in every way, including his delivery. And one of my favorite Norm jokes is always like, I don't understand when they give people give lottery tickets as gifts. Like if you give someone a lottery ticket as a gift, it's like saying, here's nothing. Because if you give somebody a lottery ticket, you don't want that lottery ticket to win. You gave it away, a lottery ticket you give away as a gift for Christmas, and the guy wins $14 million, and you see him, and you're like, hey, what did you get me for Christmas? I remember I gave you the 14 million. What did you give me for Christmas? Oh yeah, that coffee mug. Any chance of that coffee mug skyrocketing in value?
And I did just listen to this.
And I'm not doing a good voice, but there was a guy in the newspaper and in my hometown who said that my performance in Dirty Work had all the charm of a date rapist.
One of my favorites.
And Norm heard that, and because I was down, he tried to cheer me up. Norm said, hey, man, that's fucking great. I'm like, how is that great? He goes, a date rapist has to have way more charm than a regular rapist. A date rapist has to get a date. And I'm like, oddly enough, it made me feel better. So he was just filled with comic, like these comic gems, especially when you could be totally uncensored when you're just talking to him. But he was one of the best guys to talk to about show business. Mm-hmm. He was able to meet a lot of people, but he was also like a big kid too. One time he did the voice of the dog in Dr. Dolittle, so he kind of knew Eddie Murphy. Yep. So they wanted, so when we were doing the sitcom, they wanted him to call Eddie Murphy to be a guest spot, do a guest spot on the sitcom. And Norm didn't want to do that. He's like, please don't do that. That's so embarrassing. But they called anyway for Norm, and Norm came up to me and said, hey man, Eddie Murphy's going to be on a speakerphone in my office. Why don't you come in and you could hear it? Because I'd be excited about it because I love Eddie Murphy as Norm. So he put it on speaker, and we heard Norm. I heard Norm and Eddie Murphy telling stories, going back and forth. And Eddie Murphy was great to hear tell a story, because if he's talking about another celebrity in the story, he does a perfect impression of the guy. So he's doing this thing where Red Fox on the set of Harlem Nights. Yeah, Red Fox every day would try to sell me this watch, and Norm was like, what do you mean sell a watch? He would try to sell me a watch. He would say, this was Elvis Presley's watch. He gave this to me in Las Vegas. And Eddie Murphy said, yeah, well, that means that's your watch. That's not Elvis Presley's watch. I'm not paying $10,000 for a watch, because I guess he needed money for the Internal Revenue Service. Yeah, so the fact is, Norm was just like a big kid like that. He's like, I'd get a kick out of hearing Eddie Murphy talking on the phone. And he sort of egged him into telling stories. Another story Eddie Murphy told, well, listen, he goes, yeah, James Brown told me when I was young, you think you have $1 million? I said, yeah, I think I have $1 million. He goes, no, you don't have $1 million. The man has $1 million. You don't have $1 million. The bank has the money. He goes, what you want to do is bury your money. He's like, what do you bury it out in the field or some shit? And you'll always have it. So Norm did a bit where he's like talking. Eddie Murphy did a bit. He started talking like James Brown would talk at the end of his life, trying to look for the money he buried, but he forgot exactly where. Like, he's covered in mud. Like, I know I found money around here somewhere. So there's money around here somewhere. I know there's $1 million here somewhere.
Excuse his impression.
But
he's even
little moments like that, stuff like that, where I spent time with Norm was the best. Just a unique, original guy who was also a great friend. He was a great talk show guest. Letterman loved him. Norm did stand up on Letterman's Last Week on the Air, which was kind of like a famous thing where Norm showed a lot of emotions. But one time Chris Farley was hosting the Saturday Night Live, and he was so out of control that Norm watched him. And Norm called me to watch him, which was, kind of like, yeah, how out of control do you have to be that I'm watching you? And we went to the after party after Chris Farley hosted Saturday Night Live, and we were at the after party, and Normanoff talking to somebody, and I'm watching Farley. He says, "Hey, keep an eye on Farley." So I saw Chris Farley disappear into a bathroom with Andy Dick for a few minutes, and he came out giggling. And Norm came back over and said, "Hey, man, how's Farley?" I said, "Bad news, man." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "He went into a bathroom with Andy Dick for 5 minutes and came out smiling." And Norm said, "There's only two reasons you go to a bathroom with Andy Dick, and neither one of them's good."
I hope he's high.
And Norm said, "Jesus Christ, I hope he's high." And again,
no
he could take a funny situation, make it funnier. Norm was also great at. Norm was great at doing. It's hard to explain sometimes. He was great at taking something that's obvious, an obvious weird thing about something, and observing it, and then just bringing it to his act and explaining it to people. Like in his last stand-up special, he does a bit about a heart attack. He goes, "Everybody in this country is all scared of a terrorist attack when your heart can attack you."
Right.
Like, I don't think there's any chance we're going to get hit with a terrorist attack, but there's going to be a lot of heart attacks.
Right.
And he goes, "Yeah, my heart can attack me." And again, it's just the phrase heart attack. You think about it when a guy like that, a brilliant guy at observing stuff, brings it to light. You really notice what absurdities out there. But Norm, I don't know, man. It almost makes you want to cry. You don't get a lot of time with certain people. Norm was only 61 years old, and I can't even remember the last time I talked to him, which sucks. I know he reached out for me to do his podcast, right, Tom? Like about a year ago or something.
Yeah, right through Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was always complimentary towards the books and everything like that. He was just a great guy, and I don't know. I'm kind of emotional about it. I miss you, Norm, and I always will. And save a table for me, pal. I'll be up there, or down there,
Up there.
down there, whatever. But I wanted to say a quick, do this quick little segment about Norm. And I know it's choppy in here and there, but it's just off the top of my head, memories of Norm Mcdonald. And there's a lot of them. So thanks, Norm. Peace.
And thing to get out of.
Stormin' Norman, the great Norm Mcdonald. Now we started with Artie Lange, maybe one of the lesser known comedians. Not to me, he's one of my fucking favorites. Artie on fucking Stern, Artie and Norm on Stern. Their first when they came in after Dirty Work on Howard, like, sheesh, so good, so good. All right, now we're gonna go to some more well-known comedians. Like we heard about Bob Saget in the last one. We're gonna start with him. These are some brilliant comedians remembering Norm, and we're gonna go not back and forth, but we're gonna hear celebrities, talking about Norm, maybe some of Norm's better things on TV. This is gonna be a fun. We got a fun little Wednesday morning planned. Let's see. Here we go. I got a whole thing going here. All right, let's go.
And I believe is completely justified.
My bad.
2 weeks ago, he texted me, "How are you? What are you doing? Are you doing stand up?" And I answered him with much too many words. And then I didn't hear back. And then last week, I got a text, and it just said, "I love you." And I didn't say much back. I just said, "I love you, Norm." And that was my last communication. But he didn't mince words, and he didn't mince emotion. So he wasn't out doing bullshit. He wasn't just out. Oh, here's the emotional moment in a telethon where we pretend we're feeling something so we can. One of the gifts of my life is that he loved me and that I loved him. Hell, I'm always going to. I mean, there's not another guy like this guy.
But I've had this
Tony.
gnawing regret this last day and a half, and it's reading all this praise for Norm, which again I believe is completely justified,
Yeah.
and will endure. And it's been a regret that he didn't get to experience this. You know, he took so much flack in his career. He took so much shit. And yes, he knew that he had fans, but I wish, the common wish for people, but I wish he had been able to read the stuff that's being written about him. I wish he knew how beloved he is, and also how in awe comedians are
Yeah.
of what he did and what he meant, and how
How important he was to the people who are probably the most important people in the world to him.
yeah.
And
he I wish he knew that, and that's the one regret I he kept his illness a complete secret from everybody. And
It's crazy.
and that was his
Nobody
choice,
knew.
and I respect that choice.
See how it's done.
But selfishly, for me, I wish I had the chance, and I wish a lot of us wish we had the chance to go in and tell him,
yeah.
you are a singular artist, and you've really made a huge difference. And if nothing else, I don't know anybody that could make me laugh like that.
Because so many people pretend that they don't give a fuck,
Bill Burr.
both in my business and in other businesses. You got I don't give a fuck. Hey, you know me, I don't give a fuck. Those people that advertise them. That guy clearly, in the best way, didn't give a fuck. He really cared about people and stuff, but
Hashtag life
he
goals,
did what he
not
wanted to do.
giving a fuck.
And
Bro.
when he was on SNL, how big a gig that was. Because there was so few channels, the internet hadn't blown up yet. And even with basic cable and everything, it was still, if you were on Saturday Night Live and you were doing Weekend Update, it was one of the most coveted gigs a comedian could have. And you were part of this lineage of, at that point it was, Chevy Chase, Jane Curtin, right on through to Dennis Miller's reign when he did it. And did Colin Quinn come after? I think Colin came after, but it was always just the best of the best comics
You forgot Kevin
that they
Nealon.
had
but we'll
doing it, and
forgive
continued
that.
on with Tina Fey and all of them. And no one's walking away from that job. And if some suit at NBC tells you they don't like the jokes you're doing and be funnier,
Great.
you're shaking in your. I'd be like, oh fuck, I'm going to lose this big gig. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to piss these people off or whatever. I guess he was doing all those OJ jokes, and I forget how the story went. There was somebody there that knew OJ or something, and was telling Norm to back off and move on to something else.
Real quick, I gotta stop. The story is that the head honcho, what's his name? Not Les Moonves. Was it Les Moonves? I don't think it really matters. But the head honcho at NBC was friends with O.J. Simpson, and he wanted Norm to stop giving O.J. Simpson so much grief. Quick note: Norm was very happy to hear that he died of cancer, and not that O.J. came and killed him. Not my joke, but a good one. Back to Brett.
So what does Norm do? He just doubles down and he just does even more OJ jokes,
Hold my bear.
which is the balls that took to do that. And he ended up losing the gig. He got fired. And people loved him. He was fucking hilarious, but he,
We're
he didn't
being
back
fired
down
for
to the big fucking guy over there, and he ended up losing the gig. So, as luck would have it, I think it was Dirty Work, came out like a year and a half later or so.
one of
So
my
he has to
favorites.
promote it, and he's on the press thing. So Lauren has him back and has him host the show. I remember he went out there, and his opening joke, he just comes out, and he was just like, something like this. Well, yeah, it's good to be back. I actually got fired from this show about a year and a half ago because they said I wasn't funny, and now here I am. I'm hosting the show, so that means one of two things. Either I got a lot funnier, or this show sucks.
Yeah, so this is different Twitters, but they come up in a later. We're gonna talk about them later. I don't have to sit there and try to read them, but yeah, brilliant.
And one of the things that speaks to
Coco,
I was having a conversation with Jim Downey and in the wake of Norm's death, and Jim Downey, and I was trying to get to what is it that made Norm so different, and he reminded me. He said, on Weekend Update we would do there's a dress rehearsal, which I know because I worked at Saturday Night Live. There's a dress rehearsal, and he said the best way to test a joke on Weekend Update is at dress rehearsal. If it does well at dress rehearsal, it will do well on air. If it doesn't do well at dress rehearsal, it will bomb on air. It's the best way to test it. And he said that Norm would do a joke at dress rehearsal that they both loved, and it would get nothing. And when Weekend Update was over, Jim would say, yeah, it's too bad that joke didn't do well. And Norm would say, like, yeah, I know, but we got to do it. So he would do jokes that he knew were going to get nothing.
Yeah.
If he thought the joke was worthwhile, he didn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is very uncommon. That is very...
Well, he never pandered.
He didn't pander at all. And that takes, that's what made me think about the line you said so many years ago, Andy. Like, it almost terrifies me, his fearlessness, because it was the thing he did so many times on our show, which I thought was absolutely outrageous, was he would launch into these long stories that you quickly realized were farmers' daughter jokes,
or shaggy dog
stories.
Just absolute horseshit.
Absolute horseshit stories. And he would go on and on and on. And I'm so happy that
a little weird for me.
The moth joke has been getting circulated so much from our Tonight Show. Watch the moth joke. It is completely outrageous what he's doing. It is, it's the Tonight Show, and he is telling this very long story, and he's taking all the time in the world. And I love it just because even though I was there, I'm delighted every time I see it.
Yeah.
I every time I see it, I'm delighted with it because what he's doing is breaks every rule. You're not. Brevity is the soul of wit. That is the rule. Keep it, and man, he completely, like Picasso, blew up the form. He goes and he tells this joke forever, and then finally gets to this punchline. And you can see that everyone's delighted, but he has broken every rule in the book. And I was asking, I was talking to Lori Jo, and I asked her if it's okay if I related this, and she said it was okay. But she said that not too long ago, someone asked Norm about the moth story that he told on our Tonight Show, and that she said, what made the guy wanted to know what made you have the nerve to do that, and that he said that it was that goddamn Frank Smiley. He said I was only supposed to do one segment, and then suddenly in the commercial break, Frank came over and said, like, you're doing another one, because whenever I had Norm, I was greedy. I wanted more Norm. I always wanted more Norm. And so
Gotta
he
have more
didn't know
Norm.
that we were going to ask him to do a second segment. He had nothing planned.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
Right.
nothing
It's
planned.
true.
And so as recently as like not that long ago, I think it was a couple of months ago, he was telling
Right.
somebody, damn it. That was Frank Smiley. Hey, get back out there. Conan wants more.
So he heard that joke from Colin Quinn,
Uh-huh.
and he did the segment, and it was he had 7 minutes prepared,
Yeah.
and so he basically you say, and then he's done.
He's
You
done.
say, we'll be right back with more Norm, and he goes, I've got nothing to say.
Yeah.
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 So then he remembered the Colin joke, and it was a 20-second joke. So he asked you, how long is the segment?
Uh-huh.
And he was hoping you'd say 20 seconds.
Right.
But you said 7 minutes.
Yep.
So it became a 7-minute joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
And-
doing that. This has to be understood. He's doing this on the fly.
Yep.
So his way to slow it down that he came up with on the fly is he invents.
It's a Chekhov play.
It's a Chekhov play
with Russian names.
with Russian names, and there's a sadness, an ineffable sadness in
Do you
life
feel
weighing on the
fucking stupid
character's
now? I
soul.
do,
And
Fucking Stormy
and I'm
Norman.
thinking, who I've never met anybody who would take that chance and make that choice, and I'll never meet anybody like him again.
He was the ballsiest comedian in the history of comedians.
Well, he was taking that and he was saying like the joke doesn't matter. Like that, he would watching that, seeing that clip again. You're getting to see his brain.
Yeah.
He's just showing you his brain, and the notion that the joke is the thing. The joke isn't the thing.
No, it's the journey.
It's taking
Yeah,
a stroll through this guy's brain and
Yeah.
hearing the choices that he makes and what he has to say. And, and I think that was like kind of what, like, there was so much of like what he, would say, like, well, that doesn't matter. This matters,
Yeah.
and what mattered to him was his own self-expression, was spreading his own kind of genius and his own point of view. Like, there's a clip out, he did some roast. And I remember seeing it at the time. I can't remember who it was that he was roasting, but all his jokes are
It was
things.
Bob Saget.
Was it Bob
Yeah.
Saget?
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable.
It was,
Yeah.
but all the jokes were things like, Bob often has a lot of things on, Bob often has things on his mind. It's when he's wearing a hat. Like, there's all these dad
Intentionally
jokes,
bombed.
intentionally bombed.
Right.
And then I didn't even know this, but I remember feeling like, okay, Norm, I mean, these are funny, and you're funny doing them because you can't help but be funny, but feels a little hostile, like,
Yeah.
why are you breaking from what this, you were invited to a costume party and you came, in a tuxedo, whatever. He didn't play by the rules of the thing. Turns out the producers told him, really go for it, really get him. And Norm was like, yeah, you're going to tell me what to do. I'll do this. I'll do the softest, lamest dad jokes I can come up with.
Yeah.
And it was just a fuck you to the producers. It looked weird at the time. It was funny in a way, but it still was just like, it was Norm doing
But
what
guess
the
what?
fuck he wanted to do.
It was still hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's like Norm couldn't not be funny.
Yeah.
So crazy. It's
All right, so we're ending on the Conan and Andy going over. Now we're going to a Conan show from back when TV wasn't on the intranet. And this is Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, David Spade, Nick Swartzen, and guess who steals that show? Norman Donald. McDonald. Norman McDonald steals the show, eh? And he's Canadian, so it's okay. It's about E.
the point. No, yeah, that's nice.
The Norman Friends tour.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is the most comedians I've ever had on at one time.
Yeah.
Not sure how this is going to work, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it, see?
Yeah, see?
Now, first of all, Adam, I got to talk to you. You've been working with all these guys. You've been working with Norm probably. You've been working for him with him for a long time.
Yeah,
right?
we all have been. We all know each other as long, forever. Me and
Yeah.
Spade and Schneider used to live right across the street from each other
Yep.
since we're like 20 years old or something.
Right.
And Sportsman, we don't know that well, but we got. But Normie, no, I think what he's bringing up was when me and Norm, when we did Billy Madison, I said I would tell.
Yeah.
The story. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's like the first time you guys worked together in a movie, right?
yeah, movie. I mean, it was the first.
That was our first movie.
Hey, we're right here, guys. We're right here.
Yeah, so Norm and I did the movie, and Norm is, we didn't know each other's acting style. Yeah.
Right.
So me and Norm are best friends in the movie, and we're out at the pool. We're doing a pool scene. I'm Billy Madison, of course. So old Billy's gonna talk to you and Frank.
I played Frank.
You're going to turn and clarify everything.
I get nervous with Normie behind me. But so anyway, so I'm doing a scene with Norm at the pool, and I tell him, I say my line. I think I did it very well. And then I'm like, let me see how Norm, ping pongs this line back. and so there was a little bit of a delay, and I was like, old Norm likes to take his time.
Yeah.
And then
Maybe it's an acting technique,
maybe he's going deep for this. Yeah, right. And then I'm waiting a little longer, and I'm like, wow, he's really milking this one. And then a few more seconds, I noticed old Norm was asleep.
I got
Yes, sir.
You fell asleep while the camera was rolling.
Well, they wanted me to play a drunk.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so I said, you got some booze?
No,
But also he called me Frank, and in my mind I was thinking, who the is Frank?
that's right. That's right.
Yes, Rob, you had something you wanted to add.
No, I just realized that I'm basically in the audience.
Schneider.
Now, David, let me ask you something. I understand that on this Here Comes the Funny tour, there's a group chat
Yes.
that you guys have engaged in. How's that going?
Well, obviously we all just make fun of each other, and
Yes.
Rob got a good one in on Adam because Adam is not off limits. He really pretends to be one of the guys, and he says, "Hey, I'm fair game." But Rob goes, "Hey, Adam, when you do the show, you should tape it. Then you see where the jokes don't work, and then take those jokes out of your act and put better ones in." He goes, "That's what I do." By the way, I just want to say about the private jet. Sometimes Adam's nice enough to actually let us go up front where he sits.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you for that.
Hey, so now, Norm, it's an amazing lineup. How excited have the crowds been? Have they been excited?
They've been incredible. Every city we go to, this is what I see my
Why do you
duty-
talk like an old Civil War general? I don't. Why? We're gonna take that ridge, I tell you. We're gonna get on our horses, see, and go up that ridge. And we're gonna drive those Yankees all the way back to Boston.
I just think a comedy engine that powerful takes some time to rev up.
That's right, Eddie.
Tell us about those crowds you've been seeing, Norm.
Well, I during the day I hit the streets with a sandwich board and try to get people out. And I was in Denver, Colorado.
Denver, sure.
And the guy says, "You're doing a show here." I said, "Yeah, where? The big auditorium." He goes, "How do you get to play the big auditorium?" I said, "Okay. It's not just me. It's David Spade will be there, and Nick Schwartzen too." Well, by God, the fella said, "They're from the Sandler movies. They're fantastic. I'd pay anything. It's just I don't have much money. I'm down on my luck." I says, "I can get you tickets. I can get you tickets, sir." He goes, "It'd be a dream of a lifetime." I said, "Well, if you think that's a dream, wait till you hear this. Adam Sandler will be there himself." My God, the guy said, "I'll bring me and my wife too. Is that all right?" I said, "Sure. I'll get you 2 tickets." He said, "What time's the show?" I said, "It's at 8 o'clock. I said, "Also, Rob Schneider's there." He said, 8 o'clock's not good. That's when the news is up."
Norm Mcdonald is my spirit animal, especially old Norm.
Let me just say, I think it was a bathroom break in the middle of that joke. Yeah. Also, no, it's my job on tour. Let me just say this: is to introduce all these wonderful comics,
he's a great
and to make sure to find wherever Norm has run off to.
Yeah. Now, Norm, you have a theory apparently that it's very famous for difficult people to bomb on
It's
stage.
very famous for difficult people to bomb. What are you on acid?
Sorry, I'm channeling your old Bob Dole character. You've said it's very difficult for famous people to bomb. That's what I meant to say.
You're actually more articulate when you're not reading off a blue card.
I lost a little to live alone. But you know what I just realized? You should be sitting in the background of every show on television, just spouting shit the whole time.
David Spade and I have had a hell of a time. Well, he's been a good man to me, I'll tell you that.
When we get home at night, we all get to this hotel, and then when we walk up, me and Norm are on the same floor, and then separate from Adam, and then we go up, and then Norm goes, "Hey, want to cruise in for a while?" But I'm sort of the biggest puss in the tour. I always go to bed early. I go, "Nah, I'm gonna crash, and probably take a bath." Just crash. He goes, "You can take one here, and we get some food." I'm like, "No thanks, Cosby. I'm just gonna." Come on in. He goes, "We'll order food. We'll have some fun. We'll talk, play games." I go, "I wish a chick would ever do this in my life." So I go, I'm just going to cruise. He goes, "All right." And then the next day he goes, he's with everyone. He goes, "Last night, Spade, I ordered all this food from him, and he blows me off." I go, I told you I didn't want to eat food. He goes, "Oh, okay. This guy thinks I'm made of money. I'm not getting paid shit on this."
Yeah, we all have a Norm impression. My favorite is that we were in Colorado at the same time.
Yeah.
Hey, legal marijuana here. Yeah, it's not like California where you need like a marijuana license. You know, you gotta have a reason for medical marijuana. Like Tuesdays make me sad.
Rob sounds like a Native American. Makes an old Mcdonald impression, like,
Is it legal on a talk show host?
what we
I mean,
think
on a talk
Native
show, I'm being like,
Oh wait,
I know,
maybe you need a blue card there, old man.
is it legal
Yeah?
for a fellow guest to rape my act for an anecdote?
You tell us, Cosby.
We haven't heard from Nick Swartzen.
Yes,
Yeah, what about Nick?
Nick, what you got? How are you enjoying the tour?
My favorite, going back to that text thread, and it was the last show at Mohegan Sun, and we were exhausted, and so we all slept in. And I woke up at 11 a.m., and Norman texted everybody at 8 a.m. He goes, "Hey, what?" And he go, "Hey, anybody want to get breakfast?" And we were all asleep. We were tired. And we all woke up at like 11, and then I text everybody. I'm like, "Hey, does anybody want to get breakfast?" People were like, yeah, let's go eat. And then Norm got mad at me for like 2 days. He was like, "I had the idea for breakfast." You took my idea for breakfast. I thought of that 6 a.m. I thought of it first.
That's my idea. Breakfast is from my act.
These showbiz folks get up. These showbiz folks get up late.
Yeah, all right.
I get up early. I get up so early, I wake up the rooster.
Okay.
I wanted to see if you wanted to say something about our friend Norm Mcdonald, who passed away.
Funny.
And
There was no one funnier. Brilliant.
real quick, now we're going to Steve Martin and Martin Short on the Jimmy Fallon show, talking about their good friend and Martin Short's fellow countryman, Canadian Norm Macdonald. But this is interacting between. This is going to go back and forth from them talking on the show and the actual clips. So stick with it. If I can press play on some shit.
Canadian,
Yep.
you know.
And tonight, the
Canadian.
Lifetime Achievement Award will be presented to Mr. Martin Short. It's the Academy's way of saying, thank you so much. We've had enough. Well, Don Riddle. As a friend, it's over.
we do in our show, we do a tribute to comedians. I'm serious about this, and we name different comedians like Bob Newhart and people, and we do a tribute to Norm Mcdonald, and we use one of his lines. We say, and this is one of his lines. He said, "There's only two categories of cliff diving: grand champion and stuff on a rock."
That's cliff diving. You ever see that guy hopping off a cliff, trying to pass that off as a sport, you know? Man, okay, kind of like attempted suicide as a sport there. Next week, they got washing down Quaaludes with wood alcohol. That's next week. I'm just taking that part out, but cliff diving, what a crazy. And you can't tell who's better either. You see a guy hopping off a cliff, and you go, man, look at that. And then the next guy hops off a cliff, you go, oh, look at that again there. Another guy hopping off a cliff. But you can't tell who's better, you know. If you survive it all, you're a great. There's only a couple of different levels of cliff diving. It's grand champion and then stuff on a rock over there.
Early Norm. Still old man, but young Norm.
I really think that in comedy particularly, the originals stand out the most, and they stay with us long after they're gone. And there was no one more original than Norm Macdonald. There was no one who did his style. There was no one who had his rhythms. He was remarkable and so kind and funny.
Yeah. Get this, just earlier, this happened right before we came on the show. I walked out here. Yeah. I'm in some kind of Twitter feud with Steve Martin.
I know that Steve also actively twitters.
Yeah. So this is what happens. Dig this. You know how to tweet?
No.
You don't know how to tweet?
No.
Where you been? He writes a tweet. I misunderstand it. I reply. What he said? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is what he said. I'm not really that great at it, but he said, "Has anybody seen my hat?" Now, I'm looked everywhere for it. I can't find my hat.
Yawning, shit.
So I say, was it a brown fedora with a red hat band? But what I didn't know is he sent a twit pic.
Is that what it's called? Twit pic?
Stop right there. Let me just say, if this is an example of Twitter communication, it's invaluable.
3 old men on Twitter. Letterman, McDonald, and Martin. Oh,
what do you
really
think I
old.
should answer him? This is the last thing he said to me. He goes, this just came in 9 seconds ago. He goes, still mulling over this tweet from Norm to me. It's so enigmatic. Is it a put down?
I don't, honestly, I mean, he lost a hat, right?
Yeah.
And then you responded, is it with a red hat band?
Yeah.
None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, it's a generational thing.
Oh, that's
but,
I guess so. What is it? I don't know. You can tweet Steve Martin. Can you tweet him right now?
I can tweet him, yeah.
All right, just tell him that I said hi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that you're on the show and we're talking about him. And
okay, awesome.
I said hi.
Awesome.
And add this. I'm sorry about the hat.
Dad humor.
You know what's great also while I do this, I'll tell you this. The great thing about the blogosphere.
Blogosphere. Do we still call it that?
Now, the great thing is this.
That for like a moment.
That you have friends, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, on the computer, I have about 160,000 friends.
Oh.
In real life, I have 2. But I actually like my friends on the blogosphere because this is the thing. Like they can go like in real life, right? Your friend will go, "Hey, my grandmother died this morning," and then you go, "Oh, good. Do you want to come over to my house and talk about it for 4 hours?" And then on this thing, your friend can go, "Hey, my grandmother died today," and then you go, "Unfollow."
If anybody's grandmother dies in my friend circle, you're done. You're done.
Norm, are you? Do I remember that you were?
We're talking to Steve Martin.
Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, if you just get that over to him by Labor Day, that'd be.
Well, the great thing about Lauren is you could do anything you wanted. He would tell you wise, like wisdom or whatever.
He's like a little Buddha guy, right?
Yeah.
Did it ever make sense, or
Not to me.
You'd always walk away going, "What the fuck?"
To other people, it did. Like I remember one time he wanted me. Like this was actually it was Weekend Update. They wanted me to do Weekend Update with a lady.
Yeah.
Like two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that sounds like shit. I don't want to that sounds like shit. Like, I'm like, if there's a lady and a dude, like, what are we making fun of local news? What the fuck is that? No. He's like, well, you'll be, he had some crazy, he goes like, I think he liked me because I didn't understand what he was talking about all that. And he goes like, you'll be Fred Astaire and she'll be Ginger. You'll like, give her the sex, comedy, and she'll give you the sex. And I was like, the dancers? What? I didn't know what he was fucking talking about.
Yeah.
So anyways, I go, I don't want to fucking do it with a lady. Let Franken do it.
Yeah.
So
Franken was going to do it?
Yeah,
This is Mark
it was
Maron,
Frank and
by the
me
way,
or something.
he's talking to.
So
Still Steve Martin and Martin
I didn't care
Short.
that much about it. So because I could just do stand up. But anyways, what happened was funny. Like Steve Martin walked in because he was hosting.
Yeah.
And Lauren, to embarrass me, went, well, let's see what Steve thinks about it. And Steve Martin doesn't give a fuck about anything. So, but he goes, Norm wants to with the lady, and what he thinks. And he does this big long spiel, and Steve Martin's completely uninterested.
Been dragged into something you wanted no part of.
But luckily, he fucking just said out of the blue, he goes, oh, fuck. He goes, I did this award show with some broad, and they paired me up with her, and she fucked everything up. Like, I guess they stuck him with something. So then Lauren goes, oh, there's some support from an unexpected place.
And that's how you got the solo update?
Yeah, Steve Martin, because he was such a hero to Lauren.
You had a bad experience with an award show, and you get to run the solo on the update?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's a fucking good moment.
But I would have been in big trouble with a lady. But then later they did it with a lady and a dude. Because he kept saying, oh, remember, because I know Saturday Night Live, like all of us, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, remember Jane and Dan? And I was like, that was shit. Like, I remember Jane, you ignorant slut.
Right.
But I also remember all the rest of the fucking shit. Like, he had a hat on and pretended to be from they played characters.
Yeah.
And I was not interested in that because Dennis kind of changed it to Dennis Miller where
you do jokes.
Where you do jokes. And you're not doing a parody of a fucking...
And finally, Jerry Lewis. Tell you what a joy and a thrill and all good stuff it is to be here. It's super duper. Good luck for all three. There is John Travolta learned how to dance for this 1977 hit movie. Mr. Lewis, if I remember correctly, Alex, that would be Dancing for Ladies. I had to go for it. No, that was incorrect also. What is Saturday Night Fever? The answer is Popeye is this sort of man. Mr. Lewis, I got the answer, Alex. You want the answers? It's simple. They're terrified of a perfection. They being the people who are running the studios this week. I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis. Time's up.
I fell flat.
What is Sailor? Was the correct response. This racing movie with Dom DeLuise told us that, yes, cannonballs can run. Jerry Lewis. Cannonballing, maybe? It sounds like you might have the right answer. Did you say cannon? Cannon. Now, say ball. Wall. Put them together.
Didn't y'all even know Jerry Lewis?
Okay, let's just move on. Jerry Lewis has wandered off somewhere. Let's see if he had anything. Apparently his answer was an outline of half of his hand. And he wagered the other half of his hand. That's beautiful. Well, I'd like to thank all of our celebrities for joining us this evening.
I was in a little boy's room. Oh boy, I didn't mean to do that.
The sketch that you got on the air, and you say in your book, hey, I didn't originate this sketch. I kind of stole this sketch with permission. But the famous Jeopardy bit.
Yes, Jeopardy sketch.
Where you play
yes,
Burt
yes,
Reynolds,
yes, yes.
and you say Will Ferrell was key to that sketch because he played such a great Jeopardy host.
Yeah.
But that thing was one of the most popular sketches, and you pitched that, but you admit in your memoir that, hey, that's something I got from SCTV.
Yeah, yeah.
And I waited till Martin Short was a guest on the show, and I pitched it and said, can we do the Jeopardy thing?
Yeah, yeah. They did a sketch on SCTV when I was a child called Halfwits, and it was it even Alex Trebek was in the sketch because he was a Canadian, and it was it was just these kids. It was when two schools would fight each other, and so they were all real stupid. So I always loved that show, and I said, Celebrity Jeopardy, they always ask such easy questions, and the celebrities are all so stupid. It would be great to do it. Unfortunately, they've already done it, and I feel like I shouldn't just steal a sketch.
Right.
So when Mr. Short came to do the show, who later became my friend, I said,
Name
who wrote
drop.
that sketch? And he said, Eugene Levy. And I said, maybe we could phone him, and
Get permission.
Get permission. And so he said, yeah, we'll do a conference call. And I said, no, I'll phone, I'm a man,
Yeah.
So I phoned
I'm a
Eugene
damn
Levy,
man.
and I asked him, I told him the whole sketch.
We're all from
I said
Canada.
how much I loved the first one, and I asked permission, and he was kind enough to give it to me.
There was no better show than that SCTV. That was
Oh, my
unbelievable,
God,
right?
It was
amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, some of these videos. This is a song out of nowhere. It's like a picture of
Short's
Martin.
friend for a while. We were in negotiations.
Yeah, how'd that break down?
I don't know. I met him. He was fucking funny, and he made me laugh, and he was laughing at me and shit. So I said, hey, we should be friends and stuff. And he said, yeah, well, let's be friends. You go to a cottage. I was like, fuck, I'd have to go to a cottage, And then so it never caught on because the cottage was in my head and shit.
What do you mean
Still,
the
I would like, that guy would be cool to
I know.
fucking hang out
But
with.
what do you mean
met him.
that would be a good friend
But then
for you?
going to a cottage, you understand?
I don't want to go to a cottage.
That's the problem.
All of
with
a sudden, you're going on a cottage on a plane.
But
You
that's
go,
the problem.
Maybe I should
Norm,
have done this.
Norm,
What?
that's the problem
What's
with
that?
you. So if someone suggests something right away, it's not
Too guarded. I know what you're
it's
saying.
not too. It's it's not cool enough for you. Where
They're
would you
not
go with
cool
Martin
enough.
Short?
I think
Martin Short says, "Let's go to a cottage
No, I'm
and
not
hang out."
saying that. I'm
Yeah.
saying I think you're right when I said I'm too guarded. Like,
Yeah. You don't want to be trapped in a cottage with Martin Short. The
No, I would
idea,
no, I'd love
the
that
idea
part.
of being friends with Martin Short is fun. The idea of being in a cottage with Martin Short and then having the pressure to talk and
Yeah.
interact with one another.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work out for you,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't work out for me either.
But you go on that vacation.
but maybe in
with,
another lifetime.
Yeah. You're kidding me.
No. We just found out that Norm
Oh, the
Macdonald
different
passed
comedians now.
away. Oh my God.
This is Anthony
I love
Jeselnik.
Norm.
Young America.
I don't know what to say.
Either.
Yeah, we worked together on Last Comic Standing. I took the job because I wanted to work with Norm Macdonald. We fought every day.
You fought with him?
We not like getting, but we would joke back and forth with each other, and it took a little while for us to gel. That he would say something and I would make fun of it, and he was like, "Why is the host making fun of the judge?"
When you were at the HM machine, you were no longer a black guy. You were a human being.
That was great. Almost racist, but then you got it right under the bar, Norm. That's why. Keep it going for these years.
Devastated. Conan O'Brien writing, Norm, comedic voice I have ever encountered, and he was so relentlessly and uncompromisingly funny. I will never laugh that hard again.
Conan.
Jim Carrey calling him a dear friend, saying he was one of our most precious gems, an honest and courageous comedy genius.
Fellow
I love
comedian.
him. Whitney Cummings
Canadian.
tweeted, Norm is the pinnacle of bravery and originality. Senator Bob Dole, who Mcdonald often played on SNL, sharing a photo with the caption, he was a great talent, and I loved laughing with him on SNL. Bob.
Real quick. Bob Dole's still fucking alive. How do we lose Norm Macdonald and Bob Dole's still alive? Bob Dole's been fucking decrepit my entire life. No offense, Bob Dole. I don't want you to die. I mean, I'm happy you're alive. I'm just saying.
Dole will miss Norm Macdonald.
There's no chance of you running for president again?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, really? Because, you know, it'd be good for me.
And the Laugh Factory's marquee in Hollywood tonight lit up with McDonald's bright smile and the message, make God laugh.
I like it with the Laugh Factory. It says, God says, when a guy dies.
Yeah,
didn't a comic die recently?
Like Jonathan.
Jonathan Winters. So then they'll say,
Make
God laugh. What does it say?
Make God laugh.
Jonathan Winters. Make God laugh.
Some really sad news. Today we have lost an absolute comedy legend. I'm sure you'll have
Cordon Bleu.
today. Norm Macdonald passed away today far too soon, far too young after a 9-year battle with cancer, a battle that Norm never told anybody about, because all Norm ever wanted to do was to make us laugh.
Well, you did, Normie.
Absolutely brilliant at it. He said Mickey Mouse is huge. If you see Mickey Mouse at Disney World, you're like, kids, go on get him. Oh, it's Mickey Mouse. He goes, you see that same Mickey Mouse in the 7-Eleven, you are holding your kids back like, whoa. Because he's only big within the confines of Disneyland.
He took a picture with a child.
Yeah.
And the child slipped from his hands, from Mickey Mouse's hands. Fortunately, Mickey Mouse has huge shoes. So the shoes broke the child's fall. And thank goodness for that. He was fine, but he was crying. And everyone was concerned. Oh, except Mickey Mouse had a big smile. Like he can't.
It's completely nonplussed.
He was not nonplussed. He was unaffected.
I always think about this. I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I got it right. This is my favorite Weekend Update joke of all time that I think about often. It is a perfect Norm joke.
Seth Meyers.
The richest girl in the world, billionaire Athena Onassis, celebrated her 10th birthday this week. What's it like to be the richest girl in the world? Well, to give you some idea, at the party, they had 2 cakes.
2.
The richest girl in the world, billionaire Athena Onassis, celebrated her 10th birthday this week. What's it like to be the richest girl in the world? Well, to give you some idea, at the party, they had 2 cakes.
2.
No, 40th was a few years ago. I got to stand on stage with Colin Quinn and Kevin Nealon and Norm. And the SNL 40th was a night where everyone just got a couple things to say. There was in an effort to find, and I remember laughing really hard, not at what Norm was saying as much as the idea that any of us thought Norm would play by anyone else's rules on any night.
We here are mere utility infielders. So right now, I'm going to introduce a man.
Right now? Over the years, I started at SNL in 2001. And I remember one time Norm walked back into the studio to visit. I don't remember how old his son was at the time, but his son was young. And someone said, hey, Norm, how's being a dad? And he said, it's going great. Still no abductions. That's the first thing I ever heard him say in person. My son was watching you on Update and said to me, you talk like Seth Meyers. And he told me that when he said that, he said, oh no, my son doesn't know how time works. He was the gold standard, and he will continue to be the gold standard. And
how do you figure out how much to share about what goes on behind the scenes at SNL? Because I know that you were talking about Eddie not doing Bill Cosby on Howard Stern's show, and Seth Meyers wasn't crazy about that. He came out about the Ellen and said, I wouldn't have told that that story.
Seth Meyers said that?
Yeah, he said, do we have the quote here? Just bring up the quote. He said, I wouldn't have told it. I feel the same way. I think when you're at SNL, you're seeing so many different things behind the scenes. There are often things to give away that are yours to give away. Norm played it in a way that is very Norm Macdonald. And he went on to praise you, but I don't know what that means. I mean, how do you choose what to reveal and what not to reveal, what to share and what not to share about an institution as powerful as it?
I always think, what would Seth Meyers do? Ridiculous.
Do you have like a necklace or something with a WWSMD on it?
Yeah.
And whenever you're in a pickle, just hold that.
Yeah.
What would Seth do?
Yeah, because, if you really want to be really funny,
Seth
then
Meyers just gave him all
what you
kinds
want
of
to do. You
props,
want
too.
to think, what would make Seth Meyers laugh? That's how I live my life.
What do you think of his show?
Of what show?
The Seth Meyers show.
It's not something I would do.
Same music again, happy, like Norm faces. This has to be their original music.
Funniest stories he ever told on the Tonight Show about his father. Do you know about his father and Bill Cosby?
No.
No, not his. He told this on the Tonight Show. He told a story. It's one of my favorite stories because it's real. Again.
She must be very excited and proud, though. I mean, because you work with big stars. Like I know you worked with Bill Cosby.
Oh yeah, Bill Cosby, man. He's my favorite guy ever since I was young, and I got to open for him at this comedy thing, and he was the greatest. I got to meet him and stuff. And when you meet these guys, it's so like, you're shocked or something, because you can't believe you're talking to this guy. And so I told him, I said, he's always funny. He has that funny way of talking. So I go, hey, hi, nice to meet you, Mr. Cosby. And he goes like, yes.
Yeah.
And then you just laugh, And then, so I go, oh man, I go, you're my favorite, And ever since I was a little kid, I always listened to you. You're my dad's favorite comedian ever, And he goes, now where is your dad from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Maybe I'll do him this week on the show. So I tell Cosby, I say, oh, my dad's from Ottawa. So he turns to his buddy Ben as his manager or something, and he goes, Ben, we got to Ottawa. And Ben goes, yes, we are playing Ottawa soon. Ben understands everything Cosby says. He goes, yes, Mr. Cosby, we are. We do have a gig in Ottawa and coming up. And he goes, what is your father? Give me a paper. So he gets a paper and he goes, here, now write your father's name on the paper.
Before the Bill Cosby.
Write your father's name on the paper.
No, it's not. No.
E.
So he goes, and the pen. The man needs the pen.
Give him the pen.
So I get the pen and the paper, So I'm writing down my father's thing. And then all of a sudden I realize that my father's dead.
Oh, man.
So I panic, My dad's been dead 8-9 years, and I got the paper and the pen,
Yeah.
And so I know Ottawa's area code, so I write that, and then I'm just writing down like random numbers, And I go, here you go, Mr. Cosby. This is my father still alive's number here. And he's like, get up, So I thought, God, man, that's a stupid thing I did, And then a couple weeks later, I get a call, and it's Bill Cosby on the phone. And he's like, I phoned the number. And he was so sweet, like he'd actually phoned my father's number. Like, what a great man,
Man.
And he said, the man does not live with the number.
Shit.
The man answered, and not your father, So I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I didn't go, I forgot he's been dead 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I was there for one of the greatest Norm moments in comedy history. I think he was kicked out of Nebraska.
That sounds realistic.
Now you can maybe look it up later. Where it says Norm Macdonald was kicked out of the state by the governor, and he went on Letterman to talk about it. And I want to say it was like 1996 because I just finished my first year at SNL. It was 95, so it was the summer of 96. And I remember going on tour. There you go. You saw it. Go down. Yeah, kicked out of Iowa. That's me talking about it.
Okay.
But anyway.
Should we look on a video or should we?
No, don't look at that. I want to see the real. There has to be a headline.
Norm Macdonald got kicked out of Iowa?
Yes.
Okay.
Gazette. There you go. Okay. All right. So many were disgusted. Some were delighted. So
And he
he's the
doesn't
plus.
care
Now
about
you understand something, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time me touring with a star.
Okay.
We go to the airport and people are like, "Oh my God, you're Norm Macdonald." Like, wow, this is everywhere we went. Oh my God, you're Norm Macdonald. We show up at the university. He's like, I gotta go golfing with the fucking governor tomorrow. They made me fucking golf. Fucking governor.
Yeah, what is that game where you fucking hit the
Right?
thing?
So I'm like, he's with a governor. This is huge. Who gets to say that? So it's me, Daryl Hammond, and him.
And you both of you guys went?
We're on the
sorry.
gig.
Okay.
We're going out. He's
Daryl
telling us.
Hammond, yes.
And so we get to the gig, and is packed. And they go, now listen, there's kids here, and there's students and alum and the dean, all those people here. So yeah, clean. I get it. No worries. I go, we're in Sunny Lake. I guess that's why we got you guys, because you're used to live TV. So Daryl goes up first,
Lots
does his
of fun
20
with me,
minutes,
snorting
does
cough.
impressions, does his comedy, hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I go up, do my 20, feel great, crush it. Norm goes up. I'm not even exaggerating. The first thing he says, he goes up, he goes, it's like, I'm preparing. I'm like, this is going to launch my career. Are you kidding me? This is going to be huge. I'm
I
gonna
thought
go-
Jim Brewer was
he
already
goes,
a star when he
"Ah,
got to Saturday
fucking,
night."
man, the fuck out of me. First person to even curse. You know, curse. He goes, so if you're gay, would you rather be the ass guy or the dick guy? This is what he starts off with. And so I go, Daryl, you gotta come see this. And he's going, and he won't stop. He's like,
Daryl's
because
just
if
being
you're
depressed in the
if
back.
you're the ass guy, why do you want to be the ass? First of all, he's going on. People are grabbing their kids, running up the aisle. I never saw a place clear out. It looked like a fire alarm was going off. But the college students were staying, and they were howling with laughter. And he, one thing, and then in the middle, after about 15 minutes, he goes, Jesus Christ, what do you want to do? You want fucking airplane jokes? You want fucking 7-Eleven jokes? Jesus Christ, fuck out of here. So the next day, in the paper, USA Today or the Gazette, they're like, Norm Macdonald's out.
Wow.
Governor wants him out of the state. Bro, get out of my state.
Hey, Bob, come here.
This is stupid, but on my phone.
Look who woke up real quick. Hey. My son woke up from sleeping. Oh, he's grabbing me. Oh, okay. Oh, let's go lay down. Here I come. Sorry, guys. We got to stop it. We're going to pause it.